What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'll be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I'm looking at so far for UFC Vegas 80 Dawson versus Green. Now, first things first, as always, please hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new or if you just haven't yet. Turn on those notifications so you know when I put out my breakdown videos each week, when we do our live streams, all that good stuff. And don't forget to leave some comments below on your favorite picks this week, your favorite bets. Any of that works out, helps the algorithm with this video. Always appreciate it. And I will reply as always. So a couple weeks ago, it's been a week. We had that off week. I enjoyed it. I didn't do much UFC during that week. I will be honest. I didn't do a lot of Twitter. I didn't do a lot of Instagram, nothing. So I am fully rested for this one. I'm not going to go over all the fights. If you do want to see my results, they are very bad. I did post them on Twitter and Instagram, so go check that out. I'm not going to waste your time. It was probably one of the worst cards that I've done. But what I do want to go over during this week, I was finally able to set up my Patreon page that I really wanted to do for the longest time, but I just didn't have the time or I forgot about it. But I finally did it. So if you are interested in maybe giving a little bit more support to my channel, you can go on patreon.com/JohnnyKpicks or just go to Patreon and then search Johnny K Picks. You will find it there. At the moment, I just have one membership. It's called Core Membership. It's going to be $5.99 a month. It's $1.50 a week. Nothing crazy. So what you will receive with this membership, you will get all of my UFC bets for every event as soon as I place them, whether they're going to be tracked on Bet MMA tips, whether I post them on Twitter, and you're gonna get the untracked bets as well, which is like I like to call them my fun bets. I'm gonna give you all of those bets as soon as I place them. At the moment, right now, what I do is usually on Twitter and Instagram, I post like one bet a day. I don't want to like overload everybody on Twitter with all of my bets at once. So you will get them right away, and I will overload you on Patreon. You will also get my early picks and predictions for the future UFC fight cards in advance. I'm only going to do like maybe one or two cards out. I don't want to go too far out because most of the time they only have like 5 fights scheduled. So you'll be getting those as well. So that way you can see what side I'm leaning early before I do any tape study. You will also be getting my Johnny K Picks UFC spreadsheet. If you've seen that on Twitter and Instagram, maybe a couple weeks ago, that's going to be Patreon exclusive. So you can only get that on Patreon. The spreadsheet tells you all the potential parlay pieces I like for every fight, any single bet I like, and also long shot sprinkle bets for each fight. Like I said, every week, and I will post them as soon as the props drop for me on DraftKings. That's mainly what I use. And also, too, if there's no UFC for the week, guess what? You'll be getting all of my non-UFC bets as well, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, college football, soccer, other MMA stuff like Bellator, PFL. I will post those as well. So that way you will get my bets. And if you want to tail them, cool beans. If not, that's cool. But that's what you'll be getting so far. I'm going to add more stuff. Maybe in the future, I will add another tier for more exclusive content. But at the moment, I think this is fine. I'm going to add a little bit more, like I said, $5.99 a month. You can find it on patreon.com/JohnnyKpicks and Johnny K Picks. Just search Johnny K Picks on there. You should be able to find it. And like I said, don't worry if you don't want to support or if you don't want to do it. Totally cool with it. Nothing is going to change. I'm still going to do exactly what I've been doing for all this time. So this is just, like I said, another way to support my UFC or YouTube channel. So don't feel obligated, but it would be cool. But all right, let's stop talking about that and let's get to Dawson versus Green card. Let's start all the way down here. First fight, Montana De La Rosa versus JJ Aldrich. We got De La Rosa is 12-8-1, 28 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. And Aldrich is 12-6, 31 years old, 5'5" with a 67.5-inch reach. So De La Rosa, very, solid wrestler. She's got good takedowns. Her striking, though, not the greatest, as we all know. She's hittable on the feet, but her game plan is she's going to wrestle. She's going to try to get you to the ground. If she can't get you to the ground, more times than not, she is not going to win the fight. Let's be honest. JJ Aldrich, though, taking this fight on short notice, is not super short notice. I think it's a couple weeks or so. She's a solid striker. She does have some wrestling she can use, but mainly keeps it on the feet. She's not really a finisher. She doesn't have the most amazing power, even though she just did finish Na Liang. But okay, that's all I'm going to say. Her takedown defense, though, is just okay. She can be taken down and controlled if she does get taken down. So to me, this might be a closer fight than a lot of people think. I do think De La Rosa's wrestling advantage is uh, it's wider than the striking advantage Aldrich is going to have. So I'm going to go with De La Rosa. I'm not very confident whatsoever, but I would probably go with Aldrich if she was just a little bit more dangerous, if you want to say, whether it's on the ground or on the feet. But I think Montana should be able to get those takedowns eventually and rack up control time, ground and pound, and maybe even get a submission or a ground and pound finish. So that's why I think Montana is more dangerous in this fight. So I'm picking her to win. Not super confident. I do think this fight goes to decision, and I will say De La Rosa wins. For the bets, I mean, I think De La Rosa is maybe an underdog. I don't see the line here. I don't think it's even out on DraftKings yet, this fight. So if she's an underdog, I mean, that's a good play. I think this is a closer fight, 50-50 or like 55-45, but I lean Montana here. Maybe look at the overs too, but I think if this fight gets the mat, Montana has the opportunity to get finish this one, and I don't think JJ will have the opportunity to finish Montana on the feet. So give me Montana De La Rosa by decision. Next one's going to be a fun one here. Nate Maness versus Mateus Mendonca. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Maness is 14-3, 32 years old, 5'10 with a 72-inch reach, and Mateus is 10-1, 24 years old, 5'6 with a 71.5-inch reach. So I just want to bring this to everyone's attention. This is a flyweight fight. Maness in his last fight fought at flyweight, but normally he is a bantamweight. And actually, Mateus is normally a bantamweight too. So they're both going to be fighting at flyweight. Maness, though, he's a well-rounded guy. He's got solid striking with good power. He's got good grappling as well, good BJJ. His wrestling is just okay. He can be a little hittable on the feet for me and my liking, but this, like I said, this is his second fight at flyweight. His first fight at flyweight didn't really work out too well against Tagir. Also, on the scales, he looked like a skeleton. So I think the cut to 125 for him is very hard for him. So something to think about. Maybe going into weigh-ins, see how he looks on the scales if you're thinking about betting Nate. Mendonca, though, very good striking. He's got very good quick hands, good power in those hands, good grappling. He likes to push forward. He's one of those shoot to box guys. He's going to be pushing forward at all times. He is hittable, as most shoot to box guys are, but guess what? He does not care. He's durable. He's never been finished. He's very aggressive. He's dangerous everywhere too. On the mat, on the feet, he's dangerous. And this is his first fight at flyweight, like I said. So again, red flags for me there is both guys are fighting at flyweight and they're normally bantamweights. So we'll just wash that right now. But I'm going to go with the more dangerous guy here, and I think that's Mateus. I think he can get it done on the feet. I think the only chance Nate has here, I think he needs to mix in some takedowns because Basharat was able to mix in those takedowns. And I know Basharat is a lot better than Maness. He was also bigger as well and better wrestler, but he was able to control Mateus on the mat. But if this is going to be on the feet, I like Mateus all day. He is, I think he's like a minus 230 favorite now, which is getting better, but I still think he gets it done. I think he's going to get the knockout here. So with my pick, give me Mendonca to win by knockout. Bets. The only bet that I would probably do here is maybe look at the unders and also Mateus by like inside the distance. I don't think I want to play like a money line side, but that's what I would maybe look at. So I don't have a really strong read, even though I do think Mateus is the more dangerous fighter. Next one is going to be Kanoko Murata versus Vanessa Demopoulous. We got Murata is 12-2, 30 years old, 5'1 with a 62-inch reach. And Vanessa is 9-5, 35 years old, 5'2 with a 59.5-inch reach. So Murata is coming back from a 2-year layoff. She fought Verna Jandiroba, had an injury there. So it's been 2 years, but she's 30 years old. So we'll see what happens. But she's a solid wrestler with good BJJ. She's very strong in the top control, good cardio. Her striking is good. She does have some power in her hands too, but she wants to get this fight to the mat. She's a very good wrestler. Vanessa, as we know, she's an okay striker. She's got good grappling and good submissions, but her takedowns are not the greatest at all. So it's hard for her to get the fight to the mat. But she's very dangerous off her back with arm bars and all that stuff. On the feet, though, she's hittable, but she does throw a lot of volume, but she and very tough too. So her cardio is pretty good too, I'll say. But I like Murata in this fight, and I know she's coming in off a 2 year layoff, which is always a little bit concerning. But I've seen enough of Vanessa to know what how to beat her, and I think Murata has what it takes. She can either I mean, Murata's probably what she's going to do is go wrestle heavy here. And I think she's going to be able to control Vanessa on the mat and stay safe and not get armbarred or anything like that. So I think that's basically how the fight's going to play out. And on the feet, it might be a little bit close, but as the fight goes on, Vanessa does slow down and gets a little sloppy, all that good stuff. But Murata's always going to have the takedown advantage and the wrestling advantage. So give me Murata win. I'll say by decision too. Bets, I think Murata's safe for a parlay, but it's always tough after 2 years to lay that. So, you know, if you're super confident, cool beans. But I like the overs in this fight too. I think the over will be a good one here. This might be like a slower pace control time fight. So look at the overs here too. Next one's gonna be Johnny Munoz Jr. versus Aoriqileng. Munoz Jr. is 12-3, 30 years old, 5'9", 71-inch reach. And Aori is 24-11, 30 years old, 5'7", and let's just say 69-inch reach. So Munoz, decent striking. He's got some power in his hands too, but he's normally a grappler. He's got okay wrestling and takedowns, but he's got very good submissions. He definitely wants to get this fight to the mat more times than not. He didn't really look that good in his last fight. I'll be honest. He was, you know, it was a couple months ago against Daniel Santos. It's hard for anybody fighting Daniel Santos. He's going to keep pushing forward. He didn't want to be on the feet with him, so he just basically tried to pull guard most of that fight. But I mean, he's a solid fighter. But Aori, solid striker. He's got good power in his hands. He got a lot of volume. He likes to push forward. He likes to make fights more of a brawl. He doesn't mind that at all. His takedown defense isn't super amazing. He can be controlled if he's taken down, but he's mainly going to be a striker and he wants to keep this fight on the mat. So again, striker versus grappler here. And it really just depends on who do you think is going to implement their game plan better in this fight. I can see both guys actually winning. If Aori keeps him on the feet, I like him better. If Munoz can get this fight to the mat, use his grappling, I definitely like him better. So to me, this is very tough because it's basically a pick 'em. I'm going to go with Munoz Jr. I think the first round might be tough for him, but I think as the fight goes on, I think those takedowns will come a little easier. And I think he's going to be able to work that grappling and maybe even get a submission too. So for me, I think if this fight does get to the mat, there's more of a finishing equity, if you want to say, for Munoz. So give me Munoz to win. I'll say by submission. Why not? In the second round. Bets, I would look at maybe the under because I do think Aori has a chance to knock him out too. And Munoz has the potential to get a submission if this fight gets to the mat. You can pick either side depending on who you like here too. Obviously, a pick'em's never a bad thing, but I think this fight's very close. It just depends on what happens. Both guys, I mean, Aori didn't look that great in his last fight either. So both guys are, coming off of fights they haven't looked that great. So I'm going to go lean Munoz, not very confident. We'll see what happens. Next one's going to be a good one here. Chris Gutierrez versus Montel Jackson. Gutierrez, 19-4-2, 32 years old, 5'9", 67-inch reach. And Jackson, 13-2, 31 years old, 5'10", with a 75.5-inch reach. So that is a 8.5-inch reach advantage for Jackson. Gutierrez, though, is a very good striker. He's got good low leg kicks, likes to push forward. He's got solid takedown defense, good volume, durable. He was rocked in his last fight against Pedro, which was a little bit crazy to me. But normally he is durable and good volume, good cardio. Jackson, though, he's a very well-rounded fighter. He's got very good wrestling, when he uses it. If you want to say his striking is pretty good, he's got good power in his hands. He has a lot of knockdowns in the UFC, but not a lot of finishes. But he was able to finish around a Yaya, so I'll give him that. He can be low volume at times, especially later in the fight, but he's always dangerous. He's got that long reach. He stays at range very well too. So this should be a fun fight. I'm going to go with Jackson here. I like the range advantage or the reach advantage in this fight on the feet, and I do think with the wrestling advantage Montel's going to have, he's got that other option where if things aren't going too well for him on the feet, he's got that wrestling in his back pocket that he can use. And I do think he'll be able to get Chris Gutierrez down on the mat. Um, the thing about it is, if Jackson does use his wrestling a little bit too much, he may slow down, and I don't want to say gas out, but his cardio will fade. And Gutierrez does have pretty good cardio, but what I see happening though too on the feet is I think Jackson will be able to catch Gutierrez if Gutierrez is throwing those leg kicks with that reach advantage. So Gutierrez is going to have to be very careful when he throws those leg kicks to make sure he has his hands up. Don't throw like a naked leg kick or anything, because Jackson will pop him straight with a right or straight right down the middle. So I like Jackson here. I think he has more options to win this fight. I think he can get the knockout, and I think he can get a decision win too. So I'll say Jackson by decision. Like I said, Gutierrez is very durable, and Jackson, he's got tons of knockdowns, so he has a potential to knock down Gutierrez, win a round right there. So I like Jackson here. I know it's a minus 190 money line, but I think that's fair. But Gutierrez is good. Not durable. He's experienced. So he's fought some really good guys, but I like Jackson here. I think he's just the better overall fighter, if you want to say, and more dangerous. Next one's going to be Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Kowalkiewicz, sorry. What does it say, Carolina? I don't even remember how to say that. Versus Diana Belbita. Carolina is 15-7, 37 years old, 5'3", with a 64-inch reach. And Belbita is 15-7, 27 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach. So Carolina's a solid striker. She's got tons of volume, good cardio. She's very tough. She's fought good competition. She does have some pretty decent grappling that she's shown as of late, and on a bit of a roll here. She's got 3 wins in a row. I mean, granted, some of these wins aren't the greatest, but they're on a roll. She's slowly getting there. I know she's up there in age at 37, but I think she's still looking pretty good as a fighter. Belbita, also very solid striker. She's got good volume as well. She can be hittable on the feet. Her strikes can be a little slow, if you want to say, or telegraphed. I mean, she's just mainly plotting forward, and she's kind of like throwing 1-2s. But she's a solid striker. She's always going to be there. Durable as well, good cardio. This is going to be a fun fight, but I just think at this moment in both of their careers, I think Carolina is the better, more well-rounded fighter, if you want to say. Um, Belbita, like I said, I think she's just looks a little too green at times, even though she does have a lot of fights under her belt. It looks like sometimes she doesn't really know what to do in certain moments, and she kind of like lets the fight get away from her, if you want to say. And Carolina's going to be able to, take advantage of that and maybe go for some takedowns and push forward, get some more volume and better, striking going off. So to me, I like Carolina to win this one by decision. I think the over here is going to be a pretty good bet for a parlay piece. 190 minus 190 is not too bad. It's not awful or great either, but I do think she's the better overall fighter, and she should be able to get it done. Main card now, we got Bill Algeo versus Alexander Hernandez. Algeo is 17-7, 34 years old, 6 foot, 73-inch reach. Hernandez, 14-6, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 72-inch reach. And just want to bring this up. Alexander normally fights at lightweight, and this will be his second featherweight fight. So we will see what he looks like on the scales as well. But Bill Algeo is a solid striker with good volume. He stays at range very well. He's got very good grappling, good submissions. His wrestling and takedowns are just okay, nothing amazing. Very good cardio and durable as they come. Hernandez is a solid striker with good power. He's always going to be dangerous early in the fight. He does seem to slow down and be less dangerous, if you want to say, as the fight goes on. He does have some wrestling he can use. Mainly, though, he just stays, on the feet. Um, so a little bit of inconsistency from him as well in his career. So that's something to think about. I know he just beat Jim Miller, which is a good win, but that fight was a little bit closer than it probably should have been. Jim Miller almost got him out of there in the third round with a rear naked choke. So for me, this is going to be a fun fight. I think this fight will probably play out a little bit closer than a lot of people want it to look. But I like Algeo in this fight. I think as the fight goes on, he should be able to survive the first round where Alex is the most dangerous, and he should be able to take over, whether it's going to be with his grappling, whether it's just striking. Um, I think it would be a good idea for Algeo to try to mix in some grappling, maybe go in for some takedowns later in the fight when Alexander's a little bit more tired. But it's hard for me to back Alexander Hernandez in his career when he's a little inconsistent, and especially he's at flyweight or not flyweight, featherweight again. So I want to see what he looks like on the scales and see if there's anything crazy that you can pick out there. But give me Algeo to win by decision. Bets. I like the Algeo money line. I think it's about minus 130, minus 135 range. If you like Hernandez, a lot of his wins have been by knockout. I mean, he's got some decision wins, but most of the time he wins in the first round, maybe early second round. And then if he doesn't, that's when he loses either by a finish or he loses by decision. So it's, maybe you can play Alexander round one or Algeo money line or round 2 and 3 or something like that. So going with Algeo here, I think he gets it done by decision. Next one's going to be Felipe Lins versus Ian Cutelaba. Lins is 17-5, 38 years old, 6'2", 78-inch reach. Cutelaba, 17-9-1, 29 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. So Lins is a very powerful striker. He's got good grappling. His takedowns are just okay. He's got pretty good cardio for a light heavyweight. He's durable. I know he's been knocked out a few times in his career, but he also fought at not. Why do I keep saying featherweight or flyweight? He's fought at heavyweight before, so a lot of those knockouts have been up there. He had a good fight against Maxim Grishin. He was able to go to decision for that one. Use some of his wrestling and grappling. Ian Cutelaba, though, super aggressive fighter. He has power in his hands. He's not very technical. He just goes for it. He's got very good wrestling and takedowns, though. He doesn't really have the greatest control, though, once he gets this fighter to the mat. Also, like, he's just one of those kill or be killed fighters. If he doesn't get the finish early, he's more than likely going to get finished himself later on in the fight. So this is just going to be a crazy fight for however long it lasts because both guys are dangerous in their own way. I would say Cutelaba may be a little more dangerous, but he's a little bit more reckless too. So um, I I just can't trust Cutelaba whatsoever. I mean, I know he looked good against Tanner Boser, but that was Tanner Boser's first fight at light heavyweight. He normally fights at featherweight again, heavyweight. Damn. And yeah, so I'll give him that win, but I'm gonna go with Felipe Lins here. I know that he's up there in age. He's 38 years old, but if he can weather the early Cutelaba storm, I think he gets this one done. I think he gets the knockout in the second round, and he could potentially even late first round. So give me Felipe Lins to get the first or second round knockout. Bets, I would look at the unders here. Maybe not pick a side. Look at the unders. Both guys are dangerous. Ian Cutelaba is more of a kill or be killed kind of guy. And I know Felipe Lins just went to decision with Maxim Grishin. But Grishin is very durable, and he doesn't get finished a lot either. Ian Cutelaba gets finished all the time. I think he's only been to decision once or twice. Yeah. So it's 3 times. One of them was lost. So he's been finished 7 out of his 9 losses. So to me, I think this fight's not going to decision. I like the unders here. So definitely look at that when they come out. So, but give me Lins as an underdog to get the knockout after he weathers the storm. Next one we got is going to be Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn. Dober is 26-12, 34 years old, 5'8", 70-inch reach. And Glenn is 22-7-2, 34 years old as well, 6 foot, 70.5-inch reach. So Drew Dober, very powerful striker. He's got very quick hands, good boxing. He's durable. I know he just got knocked out, but he's normally durable. Very good cardio. He keeps it on the feet as long as he can. But he does have some wrestling he can use, but he's probably not going to use it here. And he always pushes forward. He tries to back up his opponents to the cage and then tee off to the body and go from there. Aoriqileng, solid striker. He stays at range fairly well. He's got some power in his hands. He's got good cardio too. The thing about him is in his last fight, he looked a little weird. So I don't know if if it was just a one-off fight. He looked very slow. He got knocked out by Giagos, and that's not really the greatest look. It just looked like whatever he was throwing was like slow motion, like he was sparring in a way, and it didn't really look good to me. So with all that being said, though, this is just a Drew Dober fight to win all day, twice on Sunday. Like both guys are coming off of KO losses, which is a little bit concerning for both guys, but I just think Drew Dober gets it done by knockout. Um, yeah, I just think, like I said, I think he's just the better fighter. There's really nothing else to say other than that. So I think I'll say first round knockout. I think he gets it done for the bets. I mean, you could throw Drew Dober in a parlay, but at minus 470, I would just rather play his knockout prop. That's how he's going to mainly wins his fights. He's not. I don't think this fight goes to decision. So I'm going to say Drew Dober wins by knockout. I think that's a better bet than playing his money line. And maybe you can look at the unders. If you think Aoriqileng has a chance to win, maybe get a knockout. Drew Dober just got knocked out, so I don't know. Maybe his chin is a little bit dusty. Who knows? But I don't think so. I mean, Matt Frivola hits pretty hard. Giagos, I mean, he does have some power in his hands, but that's a little different than Matt Frivola. So give me Dober to win by knockout. Next one's going to be Alex Morono versus Joaquin Buckley. Morono is 23 and 8, 33 years old, 5'11, 72-inch reach. Buckley, 16 and 6, 29 years old, 5'10, 76-inch reach. So, Morono, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's got solid striking. Some of his striking, though, can be a little loopy, but he's got, decent power, decent pop in those hands, too. Good grappling, good submissions, good cardio. He's durable as well. His volume is there. Buckley, powerful striker. He's got good high kicks, very powerful kicks, too. Good volume. His cardio is pretty good for at least 2 rounds, and usually in the 3rd round, though, he kind of slows down. And I don't want to say he tries to survive, but you can tell there's a difference. But he's very big, very strong, very quick. This will be his 2nd fight, I believe, at welterweight, which I kind of think that's where he should have been all along. Yeah, this Chris Curtis fight was at middleweight. And he beat Andre Fiallo, which isn't much to brag about nowadays, but he looked good in that fight at welterweight. Very quick, very strong, durable. So it's gonna be a fun fight. I mean, Morono's gonna has the experience here. But I just think the bigger, stronger, faster guy in Buckley is gonna win this fight. I think he's gonna be able to get the knockout. And like I said, Morono is pretty durable, but he's been knocked out a few times in his career. Most recently was against Ponzinibbio, and I know he took that fight on short notice. Yeah, 3 times in his career. He's never been subbed. I don't see a sub from Buckley. I think it's going to be by knockout sometime in the 2nd round or something, or early 2nd round. I mean, Morono has a chance to win this fight. He just has to play it safe, maybe get some takedowns, mix in some grappling early on to tire out Buckley and get that power advantage to wane a little bit. But I like Buckley, more dangerous guy. I don't think Morono is much of a takedown threat because I do think Buckley is going to be strong enough to stuff those takedowns and then get this fight back up to the mat and work his striking. So give me Buckley to win. Like I said, early 2nd round knockout, let's say. For the bets, I would look at, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't like the money lines. I don't know about the under or over. I maybe just stay away from this fight. Dog or pass, if you want to say, because I mean, Morono has a pretty solid chance to win this fight. Co-main event: Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. Pyfer is 11 and 2, 27 years old, 6'2", 75-inch reach. Alhassan is 12 and 5, 38 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach. So we all know who Joe Pyfer is. Be like Joe Pyfer. Very dangerous striker. He's got very good power in his hands. He does have some wrestling he can use, but we haven't really seen it all that much yet in the UFC. Alhassan, also very powerful striker. His takedown defense isn't the greatest, but he does have wrestling as well he can use, but he's mainly a striker too. So I think this fight's mainly going to play out on the feet. I do think Pyfer has the better wrestling. I think he can get this fight to the mat, but I'm going to go with Pyfer. I mean, shocker here. I think I don't want to say he's the more dangerous guy, but I just like the way he pushes forward. He's got the he throws straights right down the middle. And Alhassan, sometimes he's a little low volume at times. And I think Pyfer is going to continue to go forward, be a little bit aggressive, maybe even shoot some takedowns and get that going. So if he does, I do like Pyfer a lot more. But on the feet, it'll be close early. But Alhassan's 38 years old, getting up there. So we'll see what happens here. But give me Pyfer to win. I'm gonna say first round knockout. Wouldn't be shocked though if this fight actually probably goes to decision. Wouldn't that be crazy? You could bet the unders if you're not too sure who to pick here. I know everyone's gonna be on the Pyfer side, but that line at minus like 400 range to me, the money line, I think you can just do like the unders instead and get a better line. I don't think this fight will go over 1.5, but I could see it going over 1.5 if you want to say it could be one of those weird fights. So but give me Joe Pyfer to win first round knockout. Main event, Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. Dawson is 21 and 1, 29 years old, 5'10, 72-inch reach. Bobby Green is 30, 14 and 1, 37 years old, 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. So, as we know, Dawson is a very good grappler. He's got very good submission, good takedowns. His striking is just okay, but he definitely wants to get this fight to the mat. Like that's his bread and butter. We've seen it time and time again. Very good cardio, and he's very dangerous on the mat, especially if he can take the back of his opponent. Bobby Green, good striker with tons of volume. He doesn't really have he's not really the KO threat or anything like that. He does have good wrestling. He hasn't really used it too much as of late, but he probably shouldn't in this fight because he probably doesn't want to get this fight to the mat. I'll tell you that. His takedown defense is pretty good though. He's got good cardio, good volume as the fight goes on and all that good stuff. But I got to go with Dawson here. I like the grappling advantage that he's going to have. I do think he's going to be able to get this fight to the mat. Maybe Bobby Green stuffs the early takedowns, but I think as the fight goes on, those takedowns will come a little easier for Dawson. And maybe he can push him up against the cage and take the back that way too in some weird transition or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to say Dawson actually gets the late sub. I'm going to say third round or fourth round submission. Bets, I'm going to go with, you can look at Dawson money line for a parlay piece. I think that's pretty safe. You can look at him inside the distance. I think if to cut that money line number down, um, that's all I would probably look at. I mean, this fight could go to decision, but I just don't think Bobby Green is going to be able to defend all of the submission attempts Dawson's is gonna probably throw at him for 5 rounds. Now 3 rounds, I would probably lean the over, but 5 rounds, I kind of like the under here. So you can look at that as well. I mean, I don't see Bobby Green finishing Dawson, but I've seen crazier things in my life in the UFC. So anything can happen. So Grant Dawson, I'll say third or fourth round submission. But all right, guys, those are my picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 80. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, please hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe, leave comments below who you think is going to win this week and your favorite bets. Also, if you didn't catch me in the early part, definitely check out my Patreon page. Just go to patreon.com/JohnnyKpicks or just search Patreon and Johnny K Picks. You should be able to find it. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Until next time. And hope everybody does good this week. I hope I do good with this week from the previous event. So till next time, happy fight night.